Hey everyone, Richard Metal Fan here, and today we finally get to talk about The Satanist by Behemoth. Oh boy. Now this was a review I've been looking forward to. We're finally get to the point right here. Now let's go back to 2010, I believe. It was like a year after their release of their previous album, Evangelion. Adam Nergaldarsky was diagnosed with leukemia, which was kind of shocking when I first heard about it. And I didn't know if he was going to live or not. And of course, he had like a bone marrow transplant or something like that. And of course, obviously, he's beaten, obviously, and he's still alive, which I am really was happy that he was alive. And it took like a little bit of a recovery, maybe for a couple years or so, or something like that. But it was around that time the band started like writing material for what would eventually become the Satanist. Um, and like, and of course, I remember back in like late 2013, like December of 2013, they released the music video for the first single, which was the opening track, "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabrielle." I was like, wow, Behemoth are coming back with a vengeance. And of course, in February of 2014, we get the arrival of Behemoth's 10th full-length studio album, The Satanist. And I remember trying to do a review of this back in like around the time it came out, but it just didn't look right, so I just deleted it. But hey, better late than never, so I decided to give it a second round. And one thing to say about this album is, holy shit. I honestly think this is Behemoth's best album, far down. Of course, I thought we said Demigod was, but when I heard The Satanist, I was like, yep, it's definitely their best. It's just, wow, like this is the band has sounded better than ever before. And the production is pretty much miles beyond like what they have done before in the past with some like sort of like clanky production or industrial sounding or whatever the fuck, but it just sounds just amazingly good. And with the let's not just the vocals in general from Nurgle. Like I know in past albums they're more of a layered, but this time it just like Nurgle decided to like do it differently. Just have like just a raw, unedited feel. Just like his growls and screams. It's just pretty much the best. I think is his best vocal performance to date. His guitar playing along with Seth's are just superb. Just like the soloing that they do is just mind blowingly good. And with this album, I feel like with starting with I believe Satanica, they also incorporated Middle Eastern influences in their style. This time around, it's not really as on here as much, which is just kind of like a change of pace compared to like their older work. The bass wise, Orion's bass is definitely heard well in the mix. You could definitely hear it. It's pretty turned up. And the drumming from Inferno is just amazingly great. But yeah, let's just dive into this motherfucker track by track, because wow. Let's start it off with "Blow Your Trumpets, Gabrielle," which is a highly powerful first single and the first taste of the Satanist that we heard. This song is epic because you could get with sort of like the huge doom-like riffs that go into some ball-to-the-walls blast. And Nurgle's vocals are angry as fuck as he growls not at you, but just through you. And this guy sort of means what he says, period. And the leads are far back in the mix on this one, but they only add to like the atmosphere of the song. And this is a really powerful song that sets the mood for the rest of the album. And I just love like the opening lyrics to that song, like when Nurgle screams, "I say the virgin's cunt, spawning from the snake. I witnessed tribes of Judah." It's just like, ugh, makes my hair on my arms stand on end, which is just holy shit. That's a great way to start off this opener. Or with this album, I should say. This album with this opener, I should say. Ugh, can't even speak. Anyway, moving forward to the next song, which is Furor Divinus, which has a bit of a cold and frosty wall of noise style, reminiscent of like early like Mayhem, which is just, yeah. And Mesit Nori, that's the lead guitar work on throughout this album is also incredible, with some blistering solo. There's especially the epic sounding one compared onto this track is just really great. Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer, this song is just fucking godly. It is fast and epic with killer riffs, some great leads and sort of like great hooks. And midway through, it gets really epic with sort of like actual horns, not keyboards, but actual like trombones, French horns, etc. And these guys really went all out to create a memorable song here. Easily one of the record's most consistent numbers that weaves back and forth through like tremolo pick to minor tinge arpeggios and palm muted dissonant power chords. And halfway through the song an infectious and headbanging-inducing breakdown seeps through the madness, which leads way into like the main theme of the track and provides a satisfying and grand resolution. Next song on the album is called Amen, and this is by far the heaviest track on here, with sort of blistering riffs and unrelenting blast fury and a snappy, gnarly bass tone. It is perfectly brutal and unrelenting piece of satanic fury. Then we go into the title track of the album, The Satanist, which has a very simmering creep to it, as though like the winding riffs are working to bend you towards hell. What would you expect to be the usual death metal instead of very chilling and massive blackened edge to it, with sort of a decent sense of atmosphere and mass. Ben Sahar has a bit of a slower chugging opening riffs that demand you to bang your head. Next song on the album is called In the Absence of Light. The song starts off as fast as brutal assault until Nurgle breaks the pace and delivers sort of like an acoustic spoken word passage, which was sort of like set against sort of like some saxophone work, which is actually the first time I believe we hear saxophone on a Behemoth album, which is like a different change of pace. And it shows pretty much the deep, and this drums pretty much deserve like praise. Inferno has always been a fantastic drummer, and here he could span his playing away from his usual technical death metal style drumming. And the drums are loud and deep as they rumble, vibrate, and really bring power to the songs. And they can also sound dissonant before they charge up and just crush you. And also the bass work here is brilliant. The bass is too often let down in the mix and hardly present, but here and especially on this album, it just rules. And this is definitely the best bass sound that Behemoth has used to date. Instead of like being only audible during like quiet sections as it is, it's often the louder element on here. And then the album closes with "O Father, O Satan, O Son." And holy shit, this song is just epic. Great riffs with Nurgle's angry growls over some great cleans that just pulls you into the atmosphere. And there are some leads on this album that could have been used on like any like 70s hard rock album that gives the song even more dynamics. And at this point is just like, wow, this is probably one of the best metal songs I've heard in a really long time. And as I said, like, and these guys pulled out all the stops, and I feel like O Father, O Satan, O Son is a great way to end this masterpiece. Now, overall, The Satanist by Behemoth is just, I consider it like a good comeback after like 5 years between their previous album, Evangelion, and here we are with The Satanist with all the shit with Nurgle going through. And this album is just spot on. If I were to give this a score, I'm definitely giving this a solid 10 out of 10. It's just that good. And I'm also looking forward to their new album coming out next week called I Love You at Your Darkest. Be on the lookout for a review of that. So yeah, that's my review of The Satanist, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. And I'll see you all in the next video, and keep it metal.